Life isn't fair how actions speak louder than intentions. Let's dive right into it. What makes a good person versus a bad person? Is it something we're born with? Is it set in stone from the start? Or does society shape us, maybe even corrupt us? I don't think it's that simple. Life isn't black and white. There's no single straightforward answer. It's complicated. With so many little factors and variables at play, we're not entirely free. Not in the purest sense. Sure, we have free will to some extent, but it's not absolute. People often say we're born as blank slates, clean pages where we can write our own story, become anything we want. But that's not entirely true. Even before you're born, as a baby, you're not completely free to do whatever you want. There are limits, influences, and conditions that shape who you become because countless generations have influenced who we are. Even before a baby is born, when that baby arrives, they carry with them millennia of evolution, predispositions, biology, and traits engraved in their DNA. So the baby is naturally inclined towards certain things. You don't control what you like or dislike, right? For example, if I tell you you don't like broccoli, I can't just say, now you do, and expect you to love it overnight. Sure, you can force yourself to eat it every day, but you can't force yourself to like it. You might train yourself to tolerate the taste because you know it's healthy, and that's fine. But if I put a piece of chocolate and a piece of broccoli in front of you and say, choose one, well, you know which one you'd pick, right? Imagine this. You have to choose between chocolate and broccoli, but here's the catch. Neither has any negative or positive effects. The chocolate won't make you gain weight or harm your health, and the broccoli won't benefit you in any way. They're essentially the same. Which one would you pick? Most people would go for the chocolate because it's pleasurable. It just tastes better to them. For me, though, I don't like sweet chocolate. It's not that I don't think it's tasty, I just don't enjoy the sweetness. I prefer bitter flavors. So if you ask me, chocolate or black coffee? I'll always choose black coffee. That's just my personal taste. Some people can't stand black coffee and need it loaded with sugar, milk, or cream. But I can't force someone to like black coffee, just like I can't force myself to like sweet chocolate. It's the same with your biology. You can't control it. You might have a predisposition to certain health issues, like cancer, heart conditions, or kidney problems. Some people are more susceptible to diseases, while others are naturally stronger. For example, if you're prone to kidney stones, you might need to drink more water, even if you don't enjoy it. You can't just say, I'll never get sick. If you have a fragile immune system, you have to take extra precautions, maybe even start treatments, while someone else might not need to. Is it fair? No, of course not, but that's just how it is. We don't get to choose our biology or our predispositions. We just have to work with what we've got. Here's the truth. Life isn't fair. Some people are born into better conditions, environments that help them grow and thrive. Others are born into poverty, struggling to survive, and some don't even make it past a few years. Is that fair? No. But here's the thing. Life's unfairness is universal. It hits everyone, just in different ways. Sure, you could argue that a millionaire has it easier than someone living in poverty, like in South Africa. But even the wealthy aren't immune to bad luck or injustice. Imagine being a billionaire, one of the richest people in the world, and then a global conflict breaks out. A bomb drops, and suddenly, you're in the wrong place at the wrong time. Your money can't save you. Death doesn't discriminate. People die for the stupidest reasons, and none of us are here for long. At best, we might live 80 years, maybe 90 if we're lucky. But even then, how many of us stay healthy and vibrant into old age? Unless there's some groundbreaking medical advancement, our time is limited. This reality often leads people to a nihilistic view. We're all going to die, so nothing matters. I can do whatever I want. There's no God, no rules. I'm my own God. But living like that doesn't bring happiness. It just fills you with fear. Fear of death, fear of meaninglessness. And honestly, I'm scared of death too. Not so much death itself, but the process of dying. It's something we'll all face eventually. Everything dies. The thing about death is that it's not always dramatic. You won't always see it coming. One day, it just happens. Discount. I could be crossing the street tomorrow, something I've done countless times, and a truck could lose control, or the driver might get distracted. And just like that, it's over. Is that fair? Of course not. But life doesn't care about fairness. Life is unpredictable. Misfortune can strike any of us at any time, for no reason at all. A lightning bolt could hit you out of nowhere. There's no deeper meaning or reason behind it. It just happens. What matters isn't the time intentions behind things, or the thoughts we have. You could have the best intentions in the world, like wanting to fix the world and make it better for everyone, but still end up doing terrible things. You could brutalize others, hurt them, or even kill them, all while believing you're doing the right thing. The road to hell is paved with good intentions, as they say. Take love, for example. It's a beautiful sentiment, but it can also be destructive. A stalker might genuinely love someone, but their actions cause harm. They're destroying the very thing they claim to love, tarnishing that sentiment. Yet, in their mind, it's still love. The same goes for war. You might start a war with the intention of helping your people, but that war could end up killing hundreds of thousands. Does it matter that your intentions were good? No. Death is death. Or take a soldier who kills another young man in battle. The soldier didn't choose the war, didn't start it, they're just doing their duty. The person they killed didn't want to be there either. They were just doing their duty too. Yet one life is taken by another. Intentions don't change the outcome, actions do. And sometimes, those actions have consequences that go far beyond what we intended. When you cause pain, whether to a family, friends, loved ones, or even fellow soldiers, it doesn't matter if you say, "It's not my fault." Death is death. The action is what counts. When you pick up a rifle, you take on the responsibility that comes with it. That's the hard truth. Thinking this way means carrying the weight of your actions on your own shoulders. You can love someone and still hurt them. That's why you have to be careful, not just with what you think or feel, but with what you do. Even if your intentions are good, your actions can cause harm. For example, you might give someone advice with the best intentions, wanting to help them. But if your words are poorly chosen, you could end up hurting them instead. Now, they might feel pain, anger, or resentment toward you. Your intentions were good, but the outcome was harmful. Or take a street fight. You see someone getting picked on, and you step in to help. You throw punches, not meaning to kill anyone, but accidentally, the person falls, hits their head, and dies. You didn't intend to kill them, but your actions led to their death. You got involved in something that wasn't your business, and now someone is dead. That's why we have to be careful not just with what we think times is right, but with how our actions play out. The reality is, as long as we're alive, we're gonna hurt each other. We'll step on feelings, cause pain, and yes, there will be death. As a society, there will always be war and brutality. But it doesn't have to be that way all the time. I believe we're slowly moving toward an era of peace and humanity. But we're still far from that goal. If you look at our history, humanity as a whole has done terrible things, no matter the society or region. Indigenous peoples, Africans, Europeans, everyone has a history of slavery, war, and brutality. I'm not excusing anyone, especially not the Europeans, who committed horrific acts. As a South American, I see history through the lens of the oppressed, not the perpetrators. But the truth is, no society is innocent. We all have a dark past. The point is, we need to learn from it. We need to be mindful of our actions, not just our intentions, and strive to do better. Because while we can't erase the past, we can shape the future. But here's the thing, it doesn't matter what they times did. What matters is what I times do. We have to learn from the mistakes of the past. When we talk about history, we often romanticize it. Take Rome, for example. It was one of the greatest empires in the world, but it was also built on horrible acts, slavery, conquest, and brutality. Yet they also made breakthroughs that still benefit us today. Our history is paved with blood. Every war, innocent or not, people die. There's no such thing as a war where no one dies. Civilians, soldiers, everyone is affected. And is that acceptable? No, it shouldn't be. But sometimes, I think brutality might be necessary. It's a harsh truth, but in certain situations, it feels like the only option. That doesn't mean we should glorify it or seek it out. We should always strive for peace, for better solutions. But history shows us that sometimes, despite our best intentions, violence happens. The key is to learn from it, to make sure we don't repeat the same mistakes. We can't change the past, but we can shape the future by being mindful of our actions and their consequences. But here's the thing, we should strive for a day when wars are no longer necessary, at least not among ourselves as a species. If you look far into the future, it might seem like a fantasy, but I think humans would unite if faced with a common threat, like one from outer space. Necessity is what drives us to come together and achieve great things. But this kind of change won't happen overnight. It won't happen in my lifetime, or even in the lifetimes of my children or grandchildren. True peace might take generations. I know I can't change the world. The worst people in history were often those who felt the need to change the world to fit their vision of what's good, right, or acceptable. That mindset is dangerous because changing the world often requires doing terrible things. So instead of trying to change the world, I focus on changing myself. If I can align my actions with my morals and live in a way that reflects what I believe is right, maybe I can inspire others to do the same. But let's be honest. Our collective consciousness isn't developed enough for everyone to follow the same moral code. That's why we have laws and religions. They guide us, give us structure, and help us strive for something better. But they can also be divisive. Some religions spread intolerance, insisting that you must follow their beliefs to be a good person. In an ideal world, we'd be united under a single set of principles. But that's not realistic right now, and trying to force it is dangerous. You can't change other people. Only they can change themselves. You can present facts, have a dialogue, and try to persuade them, but ultimately, they have to choose to change. If they don't, what are you going to do? Kill them? Force them to conform? No. The best you can do is live by your own morals, align your actions with what you believe is right, and hope that your example inspires others. Every person who has changed my life did so not by trying to change me, but by simply being themselves. Their actions, thoughts, and words resonated with me, and I reflected on them against my own morals and worldview. Change isn't easy. It often comes with suffering, pain, and hardship. Like a phoenix, you have to burn yourself to ashes before you can be reborn. We have to die many times in life to build a solid foundation. To do this, you can't focus on changing others or fixing the outside world. You have to focus on yourself. What makes sense to you? What do you want, need, like, or dislike? What do you believe is right or wrong? I can disagree with you, think you're completely wrong, but still respect you as a rational person. Change starts within, and by focusing on ourselves, we can create a ripple effect that might, one day, lead to a better world. I don't need to clash with you unless you put me in harm's way. But if you don't, I won't waste my time arguing. Life is too short to spend it on meaningless conflicts or things that don't matter. Instead, I focus on what I believe is right, surround myself with like-minded people, and engage in open-minded conversations. There are people who just want to lecture or change me. I ignore them. They can talk all they want, but I won't give them my attention. The conversations that have truly changed me or made me question my beliefs were always with people who genuinely tried to understand me. Sometimes, as I explained my views, I realized they weren't as solid as I thought. The questions they asked opened my eyes to flaws in my thinking. That's the difference between a * clash of ideas and a * discussion.
A clash is about defending your position, often for an audience to judge.
A discussion, on the other hand, is about growth. It's about putting ideas forward, comparing them, and refining them together. In those moments, I've often found myself realizing that my ideas weren't as flawless as I believed. Sometimes, I had to discard parts of them or adjust them to better align with reality. That's how growth happens.
I believe every person is capable of both good and evil. We all have the potential for beautiful actions and terrible ones. Accepting this is crucial. I think it was Nietzsche or Freud who talked about the shadow, the darker parts of ourselves that we often ignore. Incorporating your shadow isn't about sitting in a dimly lit room, staring at a mirror, and suddenly becoming enlightened. It's a slow, ongoing process. It's about acknowledging the nasty parts of yourself, the things you might find joy in but know are wrong. What defines us isn't our thoughts or desires, but our actions. You can have terrible thoughts, like being racist, but if you never act on them, if you never harm others or spread hate, then those thoughts don't define you. You might not find certain people attractive or pleasant to be around, but as long as you don't act on those feelings in harmful ways, you're not causing damage. We're not controlled by our impulses or desires. What matters is what we do. You can be a deeply flawed person inside, but if your actions align with kindness and respect,
That's what truly counts. It's not about being perfect. It's about striving to do better, even when it's hard. Well, if you're not forcing other people to do whatever you want, and if you're not doing whatever you want at the expense of others, then you're already on the right path. Just don't harm people. That's the baseline. Don't harm them physically or psychologically. We've learned that certain behaviors, like racism, are despicable, so we should avoid them entirely. But beyond that, do whatever the fuck you want. If you don't agree with someone, you don't have to be kind. Screw kindness if the person is being an idiot. If someone's annoying me, I'll tell them, "You're fucking annoying," but I won't go out of my way to hurt them. I won't try to cancel them or ruin their life. I'll just ignore them. Life's too short to waste time on people who don't matter to me. We need to focus on finding out who we are. And we're not our thoughts or our words. We're our time actions. What do you do when no one's watching? When you could get away with anything? That's who you really are. Be honest with yourself. You know who you are deep down, or you're not that important in the grand scheme of things. We'll die, and our lives could be cut short at any moment. We're just another person passing through, so we need to enjoy the ride. Not in a hedonistic way, but by laying the foundations for our future and the future of others. If everyone thought like this, if our ancestors and leaders had focused on making the world better, not just for themselves or their children, but for their children's children, our lives would be much better in so many ways. Thank you for listening. I really appreciate it. And sorry for the bad English. I'm still learning and working on my pronunciation, so thank you.